Welcome back. The Deaf Federation of South Africa is an amazing organization seeking to create solidarity, cohesion in South Africa through promoting sign language. Now, a lot can be achieved by simply giving the differently abled a platform to be seen, to be represented. And that's exactly what Jabbar Mohammed, Provincial Director of DeafSA Western Cape, aims to do. And he's accompanied by South African Sign Language interpreter Beryl Botha. Beryl, thank you so much for joining us as well. My friend, hello. It's so good to see you again. I'm going to try. How are you?
How are you?
How are you?
That's how are you, and do it with a smile.
And with a smile. And then I'm fine. I'm fine.
I'm fine, yes.
How are you in this crazy world? It's been a while since we've connected with you. How are you doing? Where is DeafSA right now in this crazy world?
Wow, DeafSA's position at the moment, we are still rolling up our sleeves and doing a lot of work. We haven't stopped. We haven't slept. It's 24/7, 365 work that we do every single day. So from the time that I connected with you last, we have grown quite a lot. We've established a lot of improvement, a lot of projects, a lot of networking and with different stakeholders. So there's been a lot of work done so far.
Strategic networking. That seems to be the key at the moment, especially for organizations like yourself. The biggest challenges at the moment seem to be in public perception more than in the real challenges. It's almost how this is viewed seems to be the biggest challenge. So what are those misconceptions that you are battling the most against?
Thank you very much for raising this question. Many people haven't, also for the viewers that are watching Expresso might not know this, deaf people are human beings. South African Sign Language interpreters provide access for us. Many people rely on interpreters, and they say interpreters are doing the job for us, which is not the case. We are doing it ourselves. Interpreters are providing the access. So every day it's a teaching process. We need to educate people on a daily basis and explain to them, no, you can speak directly to me as the deaf person. The interpreter will then convey the message, etc. So the role of the interpreter is to voice over, to listen, and then interpret. And that's a big message we share every day. That's one of the big misconceptions, that people think that we rely heavily on interpreters to do our jobs, which is not the case. For example, if we get invited to events, but then there's no provision made for interpreters, there's no accessibility. So then why are you sending us invites, but you're not making accessibility? You're not booking interpreters. So that's very strange for us. And also, yes, we want deaf people to represent deaf people. And that's a misconception we have, hearing people doing it for the deaf. But we are quite humble in the approaches as to how we educate people. And so that's something I do every single day.
And thank you for being patient through this process, because I can feel my own physical coding wanting to fight against this, because it doesn't feel normal, which is heartbreaking. That notion is heartbreaking, that you have such a massive population that is gatewayed through this one thing, through sign interpreting. Now, what difference does this make when you say for a young person, unlock their potential by giving them access to an interpreter, to give their family access to sign language? How much of a difference can that make?
Yes, yes and no. It depends on the context of the person. For example, if we go into Parliament, there are interpreters there, there are deaf people that attend. We need to know what's happening in our country. Yeah. Also, in family, when there's family issues, when counseling is needed, or the social workers that come in, can they sign? Interpreters are they needed there, full accessibility. So the role of the interpreter is there to provide that communication, to convey that message, whatever message is being shared. And again, people think interpreters are doing the work for the deaf. Not that we're criticizing interpreters, but we need to clarify. Many interpreters know their role. All of them follow code of ethics. And so that's important. They know that. It's not about myself, I interpreted for the president, etc., etc.
I get that, yeah.
Interpreters are a neutral party, like today, the same. She's not advertising that she's on Expresso because their code of ethics doesn't allow them to do so. So we educate different companies different people, that when they utilize interpreters, we explain to them what is their role,
How
only
and
providing
why.
accessibility.
I get that. It seems like such a practical switch to flick, and then we unlock an entire section of our population. And I use the term unlock because there is so much potential within the deaf population within South Africa that's not being tapped into. How much does it mean to see yourself represented in these spaces, to see yourself represented in government, in pivotal decision-making roles? As a deaf person, why is representation, why is you sitting here so important?
Thank you again for that question. I have to say that when I do come out, I don't represent myself. I represent the deaf community, the Western Cape deaf community, and the South African deaf community, because there are very few deaf people that get the opportunity to access Parliament, to access working with different stakeholders. So when I go out for the deaf community. I can't say it's for myself, Jabbar. So that's a big issue that we have today, awareness on that. Not listening to the deaf people and what our needs are. For example, they're using someone that's not deaf, that might be experienced in the field, but have not lived the experiences that we have.
Sure.
And that's what we see, sort of like a chain of what our needs are. We are the representation of what our needs are. We are the models they need to be using in the communities, but there's not enough awareness on that in South Africa. Another example I can share with the news, even on Expresso is a good example. We need deaf people to watch Expresso, but there isn't accessibility in terms of subtitles, for example.
For
a lot of
sure.
people don't know about Expresso. A lot of deaf people don't know about Expresso because they don't watch TV because there's no accessibility to interpreters. So I
That's
think that
something we
today
can
with
change,
the technology, you can download an app, there you've got captions. Yes, we know sometimes there's auto mistakes and etc., but to show that you're making the effort is it's a big win for them. So awareness in that sense. So wherever I go, I drop seeds on how you can improve to people become more aware of deaf people in the community. A lot of people have a misconception that deaf people are very sensitive. That's not the case. It's just to be tired of all the barriers.
You can be sensitive if you want to, my friend. It's really early. You have planted a seed firmly, and I think you'll see some changes on the show based on your advice. Thank you for being so gracious through this journey. As I would imagine, your buttons get pushed all the time. If my buttons get pushed, I can imagine yours really get tested every day. So thank you for being so gracious in the way that you are helping to educate us. Thank you, my friend. We love that human connection. We love being able to welcome our broader network, that strategic network, back into our space because we can learn and we can grow. And I think we know what our responsibility is as a show representing this country, how we need to connect with and represent the deaf community of South Africa. We've got some thinking to do.